Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, SaintLear13, as we're preparing to get underway for our 7th race in our now 12-race championship for the IESC GT Series. Championship fight at the front seems to be pretty much solidified in place. However, everything else is going to be really up in the air. Real quickly, let's go ahead and look through our results after qualifying. Best laps, again, qualifying, ran in dry conditions, but our race today at Silverstone, we're going to be starting in wet weather conditions, and we'll see the track gradually dry up. The same kind of scenario that we saw on track back at Sebring earlier in the season. Now, at the top, no one else seems to be able to touch the driver. Scored Buffalo on top. LuckyVII, though, he also set time to 2 minutes, about 2:0.5. TNR Horizon, 2:0.8. TNR Briant was also in the 2:0.8, but he was not able to get a clean lap, so we expect he will be trying to claw his way up through the field because he will be starting in the back along with Prius Killer in today's event. Real quickly, let's just go ahead and let's go ahead and pull up our championship standings as they are now before we get underway here. So after last week's incredible and interesting race at Suzuka, this is what the championship stands look like right now. In 32nd position is Tire Barrier with 42.5 points. 31st is Boiled Bird 88. He has 80 points. 30th is Down Prime 77 with 95. 29th is Porsche FL with 100 points. 28th is Coca Gamer 11 with 120. 27th is SDR Dremora. He has 124 points. 26th is Flag 4199 with 127.5 points. 25th is TNR Briant with 170. 24th is RZM Shaun. He also has 170. 23rd is RZM Valkyrie with 180 points. 22nd is Tactical Fallout with 185. A small jump to you get to 21st. TMS Aspect has 210 points. 20th is LMP Grizz with 230. 19th is Rockmorrow. He has 250 points. Another jump until you get to 18th. TMS Bumdrop. He has 305 points at this stage of the season. Ahead of him, in 17th is larrybtheg with 325 points. 16th is RZM Arsenal with 330. 15th is RZM Brett with 360. 14th is Mexican Badass. He has 375 points. 13th is GRM Jagged with 465. 12th is NFL Racer 4812, 475 points. 11th is TTJ 111 with 485 points. 10th is TFB Matter. He has 510 points on the season. 9th is Lud1cr0us Sp33d with 620. Another big jump. 8th is Mabey Racing. He has 695 points. 7th is RZX U5AMVP with 725 points. 6th is Prius Killer 8110 with 735. 5th is SRD Shredder with 780 points. 4th is TNR Horizon with 820. 3rd is Mr. Sunshine with 865 points. You really only have 2 championship contenders at this stage in the season, and it looks less and less likely as this goes on that Lucky, who is 2nd with his 960 point total, will be able to surmount Scored Buffalo's championship lead. He currently has 1,045 points as we prepare to get underway here for our run at Silverstone. Right now, they're just getting the field properly lined up. Interesting little scenario here. We're looking at 16 drivers in today's event. We might get one more driver last possible minute. We'll see here. Oh, yes, we are. So new starter, Smat Pack will be representing the Lamborghini entry in that number 37 machine. So it will be Smat Pack's first show this entire year in the series. Prius Killer is back. Prius has had a few strong runs, but just not anything really good that would really lock him in as a proper top 5 points contender. He will be fighting with SRD Shredder for top 5 in points, but we don't really know how it's going to turn out. TNR Briant, keep an eye on him today. Horizon, he's going to be starting near the front, and Horizon actually got a great start last week at Suzuka. Ended up being one of the reasons why Scored Buffalo couldn't win that race, because while Buffalo was the fastest on track, overtaking at Suzuka is so incredibly difficult, and he was caught behind cars like this one here just long enough that let Lucky build enough of a gap that when Lucky tires finally did fall off, Buffalo, while he could catch them, had no way to get around him. Also, SDR Dremora will be making his first start since the early part in the season. For him, it's just going to be a task of try and do whatever you can to stay on the lead lap. Mabey Racing showing up again. I believe Mabey has shown for every single race thus far this season, and I have unfairly misgendered Mabey the entire season. I kept saying it was a she. No, Mabey Racing is male. Identifies male, all of that. I am very sorry for that, and I do want to apologize for making that mistake. But Mabey has put together some very strong runs throughout the season. Be very interested to see what he can pull off. Again, SRD Shredder in another situation of concern. Again, had a lot of really strong runs with his BMW at Road America and at Watkins Glen. but after that, Lud1cr0us, he was able to fly through the field, but this massive, massive change in the BOP for everything that's not a BMW Aston or a Bentley has saw Shredder really struggling at Suzuka. Now, it doesn't help that Shredder is really not very good at Suzuka, but this is Silverstone. This is his home circuit. I gotta see some data from Shredder's team earlier. They're saying that they don't think they can make it to the end of today's race on one set of tires. They are anticipating having to make 2 pit stops just to try and make the tires last. In a race where everyone's anticipating to only make 1 stop, Shredder could be in a very, very bad scenario. Remember, Shredder was next to last of all the drivers on the lead lap last week. So this didn't even finish in the top 10, so this could end up being very problematic for Shredder, who's going up against the likes of Prius Killer. Prius just needs to not lag out, drop out in the middle of the race. That could be an interesting fight in the points championship. The other thing, keep an eye on Sunshine, 3rd in points right now. He's shown up to every race trying to hold off against drivers who are, without a doubt, faster than him, but have not shown up to every race in the championship. So Sunshine needs to maximize every bit of performance he can today. The big thing, though, Bentley with Lucky and scored Buffalo in the BMW, anticipated to be the fastest too. They're the fastest in qualifying once again, but Buffalo's biggest weakness all season long has been starts and restarts. He has not led a single first lap of any of the races thus far this season. That's going to be a very, very rough circumstance, because if we end up with a circumstance where today's race is like the last few events, where tire fall off is king, we could see a scenario where Lucky, if he can open up enough of a gap, ends up just trying to defend against Buffalo. The big difference, though, is that Suzuka is a really narrow circuit. You can't really get more than 2 cars wide anywhere, except maybe the front straightaway, and even then, just trying to get the cars close enough so you could actually make 2 or 3 cars on top of each other. That's really hard to do. Silverstone's completely the opposite. Silverstone's very wide. There's a lot of room from one side of the circuit to the other. There's a lot more overtaking opportunities. I won't lie. I think Scored honestly has the best chance of winning this race, as long as he's able to stick around the entire time. Lucky, however, has gone on an incredible run. He has won half of all of the races he has started thus far this season. Actually, technically more than half. One other thing you mentioned is that due to circumstances with Tora, no thank you Tora, IESC's GT Championship has had to be trimmed from a 13-race season to a 12-race season. As it is right now, it's looking like the season finale will be at Spa-Francorchamps. Now, there could be updates, there could be changes to that, but as it stands right now, I believe that it's looking like it will be the last race of the season, and with cutting one race off from the end of the season, we are looking at a circumstance where we are now past the halfway point of the season here. If you have not shown up to any race, and you suddenly showed up today and won every single race from here on out, you are still going to technically have a chance to take the championship, but you would need most of the people ahead of you to start missing races. We are not at the point where drivers are 100% mathematically eliminated from championship contention here. Looking to see if there's anybody who may have signed up for last-minute challenges, but I do not believe that is the case. So more than likely, we are looking at a scenario. It's just going to be, again, another very simple, straightforward event today. IESC doesn't give points for anything except your in-finishing position unless you sign for challenges, and just for the majority of the season, most of the drivers have not signed up for challenge points. A lot of the championship is just going to come down, honestly, to just the faster drivers and how often the faster drivers show up to every race. Scored Buffalo has shown up to every race this season and has finished all but one of them. Lucky has shown up to every race except the season opener, and that is the points hole that he has basically been in. He's basically been in was mathematically can be seen as a nearly 1 full race worth of points behind Buffalo. 16 drivers preparing to get underway here as we are waiting to see GRM Jagged and our last few drivers get underway here. Actually, no, we're just waiting on GRM Jagged and then Shredder, and then we'll get underway here. 36 laps here at Silverstone. Again, track's going to be wet at the start, but we are anticipating, just like at Sebring, the circuit will dry up as the event goes on. Sebring was an interesting event in some ways because Buffalo missed qualifying, had to start near the back of the field, and just slowly, methodically made his way up into 4th. There was that one lap shootout at the end. He ended up getting 3rd. But the majority of the drivers bitched about it because they didn't have the balls to actually go for a proper one-lap shootout. Officials unwisely cowered in the face of opposition, and they removed the last 2 laps of that Silverstone race from the Sebring race from the records. But yeah, that's the things to be looking at and keep an eye on as we go forward here. That we've seen a race like this before, but that race had some interesting, weird scenarios in it. Just waiting to get underway here. Just waiting a bit until we get underway here. Again, for those of you who are not aware, a massive update to the BOP just before, about 2 days after the Laguna Seca race. Every vehicle that was not a BMW, Aston, or Bentley had a massive buff. The Chevrolets got a massive buff. They're going to have more grip, and I would be very concerned about the Chevrolets. Anyone who's running in a Chevrolet in today's event, we're looking primarily at ludicrous speed in that case, along with TNR Briant, I'd be very concerned about them at the early parts of the event here. The drivers in the Lamborghinis, the Dodges, they've all got big buffs when it comes to the power. So RZM Brett put together a respectable run last week. Keep an eye on him, for instance. There's going to be a lot of interesting scenarios because we could be seeing... Oh yeah, Porsche also got a increase in their power. Silverstone, I do want to talk about the circuit real quickly. Silverstone, once upon a time, was known as a mecca of speed for Formula 1. Top speed was everything, but there were some redesigns made to the circuit as we moved into the hybrid era, and that saw Silverstone not be as much of a top speed circuit anymore. It is now more acceleration focused. There are a lot of corners here that you carry a decent amount of speed into and then rock it out with a lot of medium length straightaways. There's not really any true super high speed straights anymore. This is not like the Hockenheim Ring of old or Monza, as we still know, which is really Formula 1's only still existing true palace of speed. I don't count the crap circuit that's known as Baku as anything. So Silverstone, more of an acceleration-focused circuit. That will apply here as well. All right, here we go. 16 drivers will be loading onto the circuit. Your championship leaders, they have won every single race this season. I'm going to be honest, it does not look like that's going to change at all today. Who's it going to be? Scored Buffalo and Lucky have traded a win off pretty much every race today at that rate. It would be Scored Buffalo's time to win, but in the rain, what can he do? Lucky has been better than Scored on every start and restart this entire season, pretty much. What can Lucky do to try and steal it here at the start? Loading onto the circuit now. Oh my goodness, come on, game. We may have just had a lag out here. I believe we had somebody drop out, so we are going to restart the attempt at our event here. Bit of a shame to see that happen, but yeah. So apparently TNR Horizon had an issue with his game completely crashing. So we are going to be waiting a bit for him to get that properly reset up the way it should be. So it'll be an extended waiting period now. Let's please stand by. Alright, here we are, TNR Horizon now back into the lobby, so we should be underway shortly here for take 2. Don't know what's going on now. Okay, apparently they're just reloading the circuit because they're afraid that this is going to fuck up driving lines. Go figure. Waiting on Jagged to ready up so we can get underway here, as we are now running a bit behind due to TNR Horizon's lag out. Seems like we're just having nothing but issues now. Alright, here we are. Looks like we're going to make another attempt at this now. Alright, take 2. All right, looks like they've gotten everything properly hooked up. Real quickly, run through the field here. Last place is going to be SDR Dremora, representing the Porsche. He's going to be back there along with first-time starter Smat Pack in the Lamborghini. Then you have row 7. That will be made up of Prius Killer and this man here, TNR Briant. Briant, one of the fastest drivers on track, but did not get a clean lap in qualifying. I'll be interested to see how many positions he can make up. GRM Jagged representing the Dodge. He's got a massive buff last week, and TFB Matter is going to be starting alongside him. Row 5, NFL Racer is finally back after a few weeks absent. He's going to be there running with Rockmorrow in the Bentley. Then row 4, SRD Shredder. Tire life is going to be a big concern for him, and he's going to be starting alongside the other BMW of Mabey Racing. Mabey has gradually taken over position as the second best BMW across the season. Row 3, RZM Brett is going to be starting alongside Ludicrous Speed, and keep an eye on Ludicrous because he is in the Chevrolet. These cars got a massive buff, which gives them more grip in the corners. They should be incredibly fast in the wet here. Row 2, Mr. Sunshine, who's trying to hold on to third in points, is going to be there alongside TNR Horizon. Sunshine needs to do everything he can to get by and stay ahead of Horizon if he wants to hold that position in the championship. And then the overall title fight, LuckyVII is going to be starting second, and Scored Buffalo will be starting first. Last week, Lucky had the pole, and Buffalo fell all the way back to briefly fourth. He was able to climb back to second. This time, Buffalo was up front. Lucky is going to be second, but Buffalo has been far, far worse on starts and restarts. And that is why we're going to be focusing on him at the start of this race. We also know that the Bentley that Lucky is in, they deal with a bad case of tire fall off. They burn through their rubber on that car way faster than anything else. If we end up dealing with tire issues in the latter half of the race, once the rain is gone, this could end up being very problematic. But again, we start in wet weather conditions. Speeds are going to be a lot lower. There's going to be a lot less grip. It's going to be giving a lot more ability for drivers to make pure driver ability overtakes as they're coming down now into the last little chicane. They double up. You have to be really careful here so you don't end up compromising yourselves going through this final chicane. Buffalo will have the inside line. Lucky will have the outside line. 8 rows of GT cars as they come out of the final corner. And at Britain's most famous Mecca of speed, the green flag will fall. And we are underway here at Silverstone. Drag race on the run down into turn number 1. Buffalo inside. Lucky's going to try and make it stick on the outside. He can't. Buffalo is actually going to get the position. Buffalo not only gets the position, he's already scooting away. Lucky and Buffalo take slightly alternate lines now as they come into this little chicane, one of the slowest parts on the entire track. But it looks like Buffalo has finally pulled off that ideal lap 1, that lap 1 run down to turn 1 that he's needed all season long. That is Ludicrous Speed, who has ran off way farther back in the field. Here comes Lucky. Lucky and the Bentley has a run on the BMW. They're side by side down into the next corner. Is going to be a hard breaker and then a big sweeper. Buffalo is going to be on the outside. He's going to stay on the outside for almost all of these corners. This could be Lucky's chance. I think Lucky might be able to get to him. And we may have just had another driver back out. God, for crying out loud. Come on, Forza. And yes, Lucky has gotten by Buffalo. Lucky will clear Buffalo here. SRD Shredder is going to fall all the way back to 10th position. TNR Horizon holds on to 3rd. Sunshine 4th. Ludicrous recovers back to 5th. And our top 2 run nose to tail as they now come up into the famous, or by some standards, infamous section of Maggots and Beckett's here. Nose to tail, the Bentley runs ahead of the BMW. The BMW is anticipated to have way better handling and grip through these corners than the Bentley. A little bit of sideways moment from them as they come out of the corner, and Lucky starts accelerating away from the BMW right away. Farther back, Ludicrous holds on to 5th, watching this duo as Sunshine looking inside, looking outside. Is there anything that can be done against TNR Horizon? It does not look like it. Ludicrous and that super grippy Chevrolet trying to make something happen. This is the best he's looked pretty much all season long. Into the final chicane once again. There's Mabey Racing, and Mabey is going to get to the inside of Ludicrous. Ludicrous thought maybe he could make a move on the outside of Sunshine, but all it's done is left himself vulnerable vulnerable to Mabey. Here comes Sunshine. He runs incredibly wide off the circuit. He's still got the run. Coming up against TNR Horizon. Fight for third position, and it will be Horizon who holds the spot as they go through turn 1. But Horizon is all sorts of sideways. It looks like Sunshine has a little bit more control. Boy, Horizon is sideways. He's going to touch those inside curbs just a little bit. Sunshine's going to try and come around the outside, and the top two are still on top of it, but the real action is here in for third. Lud1cr0us is going to show up. He's going to make it 3 wide for a position as they come out of the chicane. There's going to be a bit of a bend here, but it looks like Sunshine's got the position, and now Horizon is going to go a little bit wide, and Lud1cr0us speed has a run on him. So Horizon is now going to fall back to the 5th position. Now he has a big push from Mabey Racing behind. We'll use that push to rocket ahead of Lud1cr0us, but Lud1cr0us has the inside line as they come to the next corner, and he's going to fall behind Lud1cr0us. Mabey Racing now looks to the inside of TNR Horizon. TNR Briant is back a little bit further behind this fight. He's already made a massive way up through the grid here. GRM Jagged was the driver who dropped out early on. At the front of the field, meanwhile, you have Lucky, who continues to lead by about 3/4 of a second over scored Buffalo. There is no one who is close to them on pace. Mr. Sunshine is currently in podium positions with Lud1cr0us speed right there in 4th. I'm sure Lud1cr0us really wants to see this race go rainy all the way through because he has a massive advantage over everybody else with so much more grip. He can just put down the power without any problem whatsoever here. But look who's behind all this fighting. RZM Brett is there, and TNR Briant is starting to close in as well. This could end up being a big circumstance here for Briant, because as those drivers from 3rd to 7th keep fighting, he will just continue to close in on them. Brett continues to run in the 7th spot right now as all these drivers are basically in a nose-to-tail single file line from 3rd all the way to 7th. So about 5 cars right on top of each other as our top 2 are scooting away from the rest of the field. Lucky has set the fastest lap of the race thus far today. So for the moment, he seems to be really good, but Buffalo is not letting him get away. The gap hanging about a half second to 3/4 of a second. Now he's seen from Lud1cr0us from Suzuka. Oh, and TNR Horizon's gone wide in turn 1. This might be the chance. Mabey Racing is going to go ahead. Hill going to sneak by. TNR Horizon potentially? No. TNR Horizon won't lose time, and he won't gain any time either, but there's something up with TNR Horizon. It's causing him a lot of issues here because now Mabey Racing trying to make another move on him. So Horizon showing a lot of weakness here early on in this event. Now Mabey gets a little bit sideways. Here comes Brett. Brett will make a move to the inside now, so it'll be side by side here for the 6th and 7th position. On the dive down, Brett has the inside, and we'll use that to finally clear Mabey Racing. SRD Shredder, the 3rd highest BMW, fell all the way back to 9th back there with NFL Racer. Oh, Brett's really sideways there. Boy, is Brett sideways trying to keep it together with Mabey Racing, and there is TNR Briant. Their fight has dragged TNR Briant up into the fray. Watching these two go side by side, I guarantee you he's going to scoop by one of them in these next 2 corners. He's going to try and complete the overtake before they get to Maggotts and Beckett's. They still made it side by side there, neck and neck, but Briant is coming by on the outside. Mabey is going to solidify his position in 6th, and now Brett goes off circuit, cuts right back on circuit, right in front of SRD Shredder. It is starting to fall apart for Brett here, and he is dealing with that BMW of SRD Shredder, and again, the BMWs are anticipated to have a significant advantage in the twisties compared to the rest of the cars on circuit. So Mabey Racing keeping TNR Briant behind. Now Briant dives to the inside in that Chevy, but ends up sliding a bit wide, but it doesn't matter. These GT cars are so wide, you can make these big dives and compromise your corner. It's all about just denying the driver ahead a chance to make a move, and that's exactly what happened. So Mabey will now fall to 7th, and TNR Briant now goes up to 6th. Again, TNR Briant has the pace comparable to our 2 leaders, but did not get a proper clean lap in qualifying, so he is trying to dig himself out of a hole right now. Big question, though, is that this is a Chevrolet entrance. How is he going to be able to maintain speed as the track starts drying up or not? And real quickly, we look back at the front of the field once more. Lucky leads over Buffalo. We've seen this fight so many times all over the season. Typically, when Buffalo catches Lucky early in the race, it doesn't take him too long to get by him. And I would feel very concerned if I was in Lucky's position. Buffalo, though, might have a bit of an issue right now just because it's so wet. It's going to be so much harder to actually make a proper move stick. I wonder if Buffalo will just wait until the first round of pit stops are done and then try to get by Lucky once the circuit starts drying up. Again, track's still wet, still lots of puddles on the circuit, not going to be a whole lot of grip at the moment. Lucky has a significant advantage in straight line speed, will have a big acceleration advantage. Buffalo will have an advantage in the corners, and will have an advantage in the grip right now. I'm really curious to see how these two cars are going to handle once the circuit properly dries off. So Buffalo falls off just a little bit here. Look at this fight. 7th, 8th, 9th, pretty much all on top of each other here. Brett has Mabey Racing just behind and an SRD Shredder. So Shredder trying to scoop by Mabey Racing. And then if you look just behind Shredder, it's NFL Racer. So the three of our 4 BMWs run 8th, 9th, and 10th right now. And TNR Briant has actually just gotten by TNR Horizon here. So Briant, Briant wasn't able to make the pass stick, but Briant is making moves forward. And mind you, 3rd and 4th place on circuit, that's Sunshine Ludicrous speed. They're a good distance up the road, but I think Ludicrous's advantage is coming from having all this extra grip, the same extra grip that Briant's able to make use of right now. We don't know if he's going to be able to maintain this advantage as it goes on here. And Brett's there, Mabey's there, Shredder is there. If Horizon and Briant spend long enough fighting, it could take them out of any sort of fight for the top 2. And this is exactly what the likes of Ludicrous Speed and Sunshine need. Now here comes Briant. He's looking to the inside of Horizon. It'll be a big dive. But again, these GT cars are so wide, I don't think you'll be able to make... Oh, wow, no, he lost it. It's just wet enough he lost it, but Horizon couldn't make it stick. Horizon did not have the confidence in that machine to get back by. So while Brian sent it and just couldn't keep control of the car, it doesn't matter. Once you have track position, that's all that matters. Just these GT3 cars are too wide. Once you have track position, it's basically all that matters here, unless you have a massive advantage over the other drivers on track in terms of lap time. You can see Horizon runs really wide there, but Briant, who missed out on having a proper lap in qualifying, but is on pace of the leaders, now is up in the 5th and will be trying to run down Ludicrous Speed and Mr. Sunshine. Brett now is trying to make something happen with Horizon farther back there. That could end up being a little bit interesting. And then Mabey Racing and SRD Shredder are in the middle of this fight as well. Horizon holds on to 6th for the moment, but oh my goodness, Briant is so far up the road right now, it's not even close. Mabey looks to the inside of Brett. Shredder is going to go to the outside of Mabey. So 2 BMWs barreling down on Brett, but neither of them are able to make anything stick. So Brett holds on for the moment as Shredder's trying to muscle the long way around over Mabey Racing here. And I don't think it will work. Mabey is actually going to hold on to 8th for the moment. And both of the BMWs will fall off. And now here comes the Lamborghini making a move, or attempting to make a move, on Horizon. Now looking to the outside. Back to the inside. It's all just a matter right now of trying to set yourself up to get a good run on this straight. Lamborghini has a decent amount of straight line speed here. Brett runs right behind Horizon. I don't think he's going to be able to make it work. Neither of them will make any big dives into the corner this time. Ludicrous Speed is losing touch slowly with Mr. Sunshine, so Briant will be the one who will catch the Chevy without too much issue here. At the front of the field, though, oh, Buffalo really wide. Buffalo seems to be struggling a bit to keep up with Lucky in these wet weather conditions. Again, we anticipated the BMW would be strong, and obviously compared to everyone that's not Lucky, yeah, Buffalo is one of the fastest people on track, but he needs to get ahead of Lucky. He wants to try and earn as many points, even if it's just small amounts. He just needs to be ahead of Lucky every race to the end, and he can potentially lock up the championship a race early. For Lucky, he needs it to stay like this, or if anything, what he really needs is he needs the likes of TNR Briant to come up there and nip score Buffalo for second, while Lucky walks off with a win. That's what he really needs right now. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what he really wants to see. He needs Buffalo to suffer as much bad circumstances as possible. So yeah, this gap's now opened up to 9/10 of a second, roughly. And most of the gaps in the field are about that space. Although you do have this here, as RZM Brett runs just a little bit behind TNR Horizon. As Horizon, you can see visibly how much he is struggling. Again, Brett's in one of those cars that got a improvement when it came to the BOP here. Mabey and Shredder falling off of this fight right now. So what had been this big pack from about 5th to 9th has kind of fallen down to just a bunch of single and 2-car battles. Briant continuing to run down Lud1cr0us because Lud1cr0us is now farther away from Sunshine than Lud1cr0us is from Briant. So yeah, Briant without a doubt is on the charge, but how long is that going to last? Because again, Chevy seemed to be by far one of, if not the strongest car here in the heavy rain, having lots of grip in that machine. But once the circuit starts drying out about halfway through, that's where things are going to get really weird. Still watching this little spat for 6th here as Brett continues to run right behind Horizon. This is probably the most active battle on the circuit. Although I say that every now and again I look at that fight at the top of the field for the race lead, and that will close up and then open up and then close up and then open up. But Buffalo at the moment 11/10 out from your leader, Lucky. Again, Buffalo had a good run. Turn 1 is honestly one of his strongest restarts we've seen from him. Strongest starts all season long, but still kind of fell apart by the time they didn't even really get out of Sector 1. Boy, Horizon had a bad run through 1, bad run through 2. Here comes Brett looking to the inside, side by side now as they go into turn 3. A little bit of contact. Horizon has the position. Brett wants it. And that little side-by-side moment brought those BMWs of Shredder and Mabey back into the fray. Boy, Horizon, another big sideways moment, but Brett got into the dirt. Both cars got into the dirt, but Horizon way worse off. Brett is actually going to scoot ahead, and somehow the BMWs can't capitalize on it. So Brett now goes back ahead of Horizon for position. And I anticipate we'll see Brett start peeling away from Horizon without too much issue here. And Mabey Racing now runs right behind Horizon at this stage of the race. But clean air now for Brett on the circuit. Horizon is not letting him go. Horizon looking maybe to the inside, but he's not going to pull a Lewis Hamilton. He's a little bit smarter than that. Knows this race is still a lot to go. And if Brett can't pull together a good set of corners here to Maggotts and Beckett's, Horizon might be able to explode out with a great deal of speed here. But for a moment, this little situation here, 6th to 9th, this is the most active battle on circuit. Brett and Horizon having two radically different lines as they come out, and now down that back straightaway, the closest you'll get to a more top speed focused run here. I think you get your highest speed coming into this braking zone. And for the moment, it looks like the Lamborghini of Brett holds it. Even though he missed the corner just a bit, he still holds position over Horizon without too much issue. Rain, I think, is finally starting to let up just a bit. And now Mabey looking to the outside of Horizon. So this is not over yet. So the BMWs starting to assert themselves. Mabey outside, Horizon inside, and Shredder has a run on both of them. Is he going to try and make it 3 wide? Doesn't look like it, but he will get to the inside of Mabey. But as they dive into braking, Shredder brakes early, lets Horizon and Mabey run side by side for a little bit, and Horizon now falls behind Mabey just for the moment, and now Mabey has the inside line. Horizon back ahead, now Mabey back ahead as they come out. Horizon really sideways, dropping the tire a little bit too wide, and now Shredder has a run once again on Horizon. Mabey inside, Horizon outside, and now Shredder dives in. A little bit of sideways moment. And Horizon in the rain is really struggling. Mabey now moves up to 7th, and Shredder trying to make something happen. They'll be side by side as they enter Maggins and Beckett. Someone has to back out. Who's it going to be? And it looks like it will have to be Horizon simply by necessity. The BMWs are just so much more grippier and have so much more ability to maintain these medium and high speed corners here. And while all this is happening, Brett is gaining away, but he is not gaining away at the rate that we are anticipating that he would. Horizon has a run coming out, though, and he'll be looking at the outside of Mabey Racing. Big sideways moment under brakes from Mabey. He'll actually end up washing up just a bit. That kind of compromises his line and Horizon. Shredder gets another run. Looks to the inside of Horizon. Can't make it stick. Mabey runs just ahead of Horizon here. And Shredder had a great run through turn 1. These corners Horizon has really struggled at, though. Oh, big sideways moment of braking for Horizon. Shredder's not close enough to make a lunge. I do think Horizon is faster than Mabey. It might even be faster than Brett, but he just keeps making these small little mistakes, losing time coming out of these corners, and that's all it's been taken to take him out of these take him out of good positions here. And we may have just had another driver drop out. Now it's SDR Dremora who will drop out. So we are now down to just 4 drivers at this stage in the event. I mean 14 drivers at this stage in the event. TNR Briant has pulled away from everything else. He has made his way up into the 5th position. The next driver he'll be running down on will be Ludicrous Speed. And it will be a Chevy versus Chevy action. And this goes to show you the difference between a Tourist Sweat and a more semi-pro driver here. Bryant saying times comparable to your leaders. Ludicrous, probably the 5th or 6th fastest driver on track on merit right now. But this is nothing. We're looking at about a 2-second a lap difference in lap time between this duo at the moment. Gap's down to about 1.1 seconds. Mabey is actually closed back down. Oh, and Prius is pitting back there in 11th, so Prius is going to make his stop incredibly early. Typically, it's Mr. Sunshine we see making these super early stops, but no, in this case, Prius is the first driver to get off the first round of tires. And it's so early, I have to wonder if Prius will even be able to make the rubber last to the end, or if he's just already locking himself into a 2-stop strategy here. Shredder continues to run behind Horizon. You can see Horizon still really struggling. And all four of these drivers, Brett, Mabey, Horizon, Shredder, they just can't seem to unglue each other from anybody. Brett is in clean air, but just he'll open up the gap a bit and then kind of let Mabey close back in. Oh, Horizon really wide. Boy, is Horizon wide. Deep into the dirt that time. Gonna lose a chunk of time. Here comes Shredder. Does he make a move to the inside of Horizon under braking? No. But Horizon sideways. I'm watching Horizon just kind of pull away again. I do think that Shredder is probably slower than everyone ahead of him. Not by a massive amount, but just by enough. The thing is, Horizon, again, keeps making these little mistakes, kind of bobbling, sliding off circuit. We just saw that lap. He ran deep into the dirt, and it's kind of keeping him tucked up with Shredder behind, who is a slower driver, and then Mabey ahead, who is also a slower driver. When he's not doing anything wrong, Horizon closes right up to Mabey without issue, but he makes a mistake and just loses a chunk of time. Here's the move. That's just not enough. Horizon has what it takes to stay in position, it would appear. Meanwhile, here's the fight for fourth. Chevrolet on Chevrolet action. Briant runs right behind Ludicrous speed. Briant trying to do now what we saw Scored Buffalo do back at Sebring. A bad run in qualifying. In Buffalo's case, he had actually not gotten qualifying done at all. And Briant trying to claw back up. Buffalo had gone from, I believe it was 13th to 3rd? Or 13th to 4th, something like that. Bryant's trying to do a 15th to 4th right now. Definitely would be a potential driver of the day if he can pull this off. Prius Killer will be our third driver to DNF from the event, so we are now down to just 13 drivers at this stage of the event. And Ludicrous is really holding Briant up, and here's the thing, these are the only two Chevrolets on the circuit. Ludicrous and Briant will have pretty much all the same strengths. It's just going to come down to what can we do. Again, time-wise, we know Bryant's about a second to lap faster than Ludicrous, but it's not all given in one chunk of the racetrack. It's just, you know, a 10th here, a 10th there. And if you're a defensive driver, it's not impossible to run a defensive line and just compromise someone else's 10th here, 10th there. But this might be it. Ludicrous setting up for a proper run to the corner. Briant is just going to outdrive. Again, GT cars are just so big. The GT3 cars are so wide. You can throw the car ahead. Doesn't matter what you do. And once you're there, it's over. The guy behind can't do anything. Ludicrous is right there. Ludicrous, again, you can see he had a way better run through that final chicane in the last corner than Briant did. But it didn't matter. Briant just kind of shucked his car into the corner. And you can't really make you can't make a pass in these GT3 cars. When the person ahead is ahead, you kind of need to make all of your overtakes going into a corner. It doesn't matter how good you are mid-corner or exiting the corner. Cars are just too big. You can't really make it work side by side coming out of a corner unless the person ahead made a big mistake. This time it's Ludicrous who ends up making a mistake. He'll slide wide, and this battle is basically over. Another battle to keep an eye on, though. Scored Buffalo has fallen off of Lucky significantly. It is a 2.4 second gap between himself and Lucky, and it is slowly extending. As we look at their fuel numbers right now, again, in rain, you will use less fuel by default. Buffalo is at 48% fuel. Lucky, who is leading, is at 47%. So they're even on fuel. When it comes to tires, Lucky's in the 40% range. Buffalo is in the 38% range. But again, that's really, I don't think it's going to mean a whole lot because in the rain, you don't burn up through your rubber nearly as quickly as you would on a dry track. .7 seconds is the gap to the front now. Shredder continues to fight with Horizon. Horizon has fallen off completely from Mabey at this stage in the race. But Shredder, he'll get alongside, he'll get side by side with Horizon. He's very daring, willing to make moves that other drivers will not. He can't make them stick. These cars are just too big, too wide. He'll get side by side with the guy ahead through the corners, but you can't actually do anything past that point, it would appear. Almost all the overtakes we're seeing are just who can outrun who into a straightaway. That seems to just be what everything is. If you can be side by side and just kind of chuck your car ahead of somebody else into the corner, that seems to be what everything comes down to. And Shredder being very respectful, very kind, trying to use alternate ways to get by these cars, it's kind of hurting him a bit. But I'd be really concerned about what is going to look like. I'm going to be very concerned what it will look like once the circuit starts drying out. It's still nice and wet now. We're not yet halfway through the event, though. .6 seconds ahead is Mabey, and now we're starting to see the sun show up. So anticipating the track will start drying out here. Oh, big sideways movement from Horizon. Shredder's right there. Man, the circuit looks nice in this drier circumstance here. Also, something else, I did not anticipate this to happen as Sunshine is making his stop, but Lud1cr0us has not fallen off of Briant as much as we thought. The gap is staying within a second. So now in clean air, Briant is not peeling away from Lud1cr0us at the rate we were anticipating. And now we are going to see the circuit go through a stage and Sunshine will make his stop. Sunshine's like doing the undercut all season long. It's given him great results basically everywhere that's not Laguna Seca. But here we're going to be dealing with a track that will be drying out. Fights down to 7 tenths, down to 2 tenths here. Shredder continues to run behind Horizon. This is still realistically a fight for 8th. Mr. Sunshine runs about 7 seconds behind this duo. And the circuit now starting to dry up. Oh, here we are. Horizon sideways. Here comes Shredder. He's got to run out of the corner. Will that be enough? He's running right with him. He's pushing him pretty much down the straight. Horizon has a car that's a little bit faster in a straight line, I think, but just barely as they go into the corner. No change. Horizon holds position. Shredder looking to the inside. But again, GT car is just too bloody large. Oh my goodness, here we go. Shredder looking on the outside of Horizon. Could this make it work? No. Horizon cuts him off. Again, Shredder, I think even with the circuit starting to dry out, oh, Horizon all sideways coming out of the back straightaway. Shredder runs right behind. Does he make him dive into the corner this time by? He looks, he briefly thought of it, but will not do it. Shredder is trying so hard to make moves that aren't just diving and chucking the car into the corner, and I think that's hurting him. Shredder's had at least 2 or 3 circumstances where he could have just chucked the car into the corner ahead of Horizon, because that's been the only thing that's made moves stick today, and he's just not, Shredder's just not willing to do it. Shredder's trying to be respectful. He's trying to give Horizon the run. He wants to try and beat Horizon on the outside or in a proper line here. It's just not happening. Shredder goes way off circuit again. And while these two are fighting, Mr. Sunshine is going to be in a rough position because he is going to end up catching this group sooner rather than later, I think. Another thing I consider, in a 36-lap race, roughly, pit stops need to be done at about lap 18, 19 or so to make sure you can make it to the end on fuel. But we've already had our first leader pit. That has scored Buffalo. Buffalo is actually going to end up pitting earlier than Lucky here. So Buffalo will try the undercut against Lucky. Might as well try something because he was not bringing that gap down himself. So Buffalo, this could be really interesting here because if Buffalo ends up having to deal with traffic, that fight between Lud1cr0us and TNR Briant, it could end up really compromising him. But the same thing can be said for Lucky when Lucky finally does make his stop. Another driver in pit lane right now, that is TNR Horizon. So Shredder will have a few laps in clean air that he can turn now. Shredder now runs about a second behind Mabey Racing. So it does seem like for the moment, at least in cleaner air, Shredder charges forward, now trying to make a move down the second highest of the BMW cars. I'm interested to see if Shredder will be able to do anything to Mabey. And I think Shredder's faster, but it seems like all the overtakes, every move we've seen has just been a matter of just chucking it and throwing it into the corner ahead of the car ahead of you. Unless someone else makes a big mistake, like that's how we saw Buffalo lose the lead early on here. So more drivers making stops. Shredder slides wide. Lucky still leads. Right now, Ludacris is second as TNR Briant has actually made his stop already. Scored Buffalo about 7 seconds behind Ludacris speed at the moment. And look at the telemetry. Ludacris, tire wear might be a bit of an issue. I think fuel, though, will be the bigger problem for him, though. 34% at the moment. All right, here we are, driver in the pits. That is Lucky. So Lucky finally making his stop. Where is Lucky going to be in relation to Scored Buffalo once both drivers have cycled properly around here? Ludacris speed likely going to not quite take the lead here, I imagine. I think he's going to be just a little bit behind Lucky. Won't be able to overtake this machine. Where's Scored Buffalo going to be? Also, Mabey Racing will be making a pit stop. RZM Brett will be making a stop as well now. If Ludacris gets by Lucky, this could be really, really traumatic for Lucky's shot at trying to win this race here. And yes, Ludacris will get ahead of Lucky. Lucky's going to be faster, but now he's going to have to overtake that Chevrolet somehow. I think the interesting thing here is that after that round of stops, Buffalo is now actually 5 seconds behind Lucky. Now Lucky, again, trying to have to deal with Ludacris speed here. How long will it take to get by this Chevrolet? This is the first time that this duo of Lucky or Buffalo have had any serious competition. Primarily Lucky has had any serious competition that's not been each other. Again, though, Ludacris is going to be in a position where he needs to think overall race, especially as this track continues to dry out and the extra grip advantage that Ludacris has. He'll still have that grip advantage, but it's going to be a little bit less practical. How long does Ludacris stay out here and fight with Lucky? And then you have Scored Buffalo. He's 5 seconds out, but the longer and longer Lucky is stuck behind Ludacris, the more and more it gives Buffalo a chance to maybe make something happen. Driver pitting just a little bit ahead of this group at the moment. A bit sideways there out of the final corner. There's no doubt that Lucky's faster than Ludacris, but every overtake thus far that has stuck has just been a matter of just throwing and chucking the car carelessly into a braking zone ahead of the person ahead. Does Lucky have what it takes to do that to Ludacris? Well, there's Snap Pack, who is last place, your first-time driver here in the series, and now he's going to have to deal with a fight for the lead, barreling down on him, and Buffalo has taken out about a tenth of that gap between himself and Lucky. Ludacris is a little bit wide. Lucky runs right behind. This could be it. This could be all the Bentley driver needs. He looks to the inside, but Ludacris, with that superior traction, will move ahead without too much issue here. And there's the move. Lucky throws the car into the corner. That's been the one. That's been the move that has stuck all day. It's the only thing that has worked all time today. Smat Pack will be on the outside. Lucky inside, and that's all that matters. No other move, no other overtake works with these god-awful, overweight, oversized GT cars. You just gotta throw the car into the corner and just demand that the other person either wreck both of you or back out of it. Lud1cr0us wants to just try to hold on to what would be his best finish this season. He's willing to just back out of it. But Lucky throws the car in, and that's all that matters. It's just a matter of chucking the car in. There is no overtaking strategy. There's no real skill outside of just controlling the car and not sliding into the dirt. And with how wide, especially here at Silverstone, how wide the circuit is, it doesn't matter. That's been the story of the day today, folks. It's not about proper racing etiquette. There's nothing about pit strategy. All it comes down to is just chucking the car in as aggressively as you possibly can. So after all of that is done, Mr. Sunshine runs in 5th position right behind SRD Shredder, and Shredder, who was concerned that he might not be able to make it on a single stop, has actually gone longer than everyone else on circuit, I believe. So Shredder is actually going to have a significant tire advantage to the very end of the race. He'll be one of the last drivers to pit here. And Mr. Sunshine is going to be in position to walk out of here with a podium finish, because Sunshine is about 2 seconds ahead of TNR Briant. Not saying Sunshine has it by default, but it is looking decent for Sunshine at the moment. The big thing to remember, though, Sunshine pitted early, and he will have to deal with tire fall off way worse than Briant here. And Briant in that Chevrolet is in a car that has great grip, and I would not be surprised if we see Briant try to utilize the extra grip in the car to chuck that Chevrolet into a straight here. So where is Shredder going to end up in relation to this fight with Brett, Mabey, and Horizon? Horizon was really hilling up Shredder for a bit, but Shredder's run a bunch of laps in clean air. Shredder's already making his way down pit lane. Looks like already he's going to lose one position. I think he's going to end up behind both Mabey Racing and TNR Horizon here. Yes, indeed, he will end up behind both of them. So all those laps in clean air meant absolutely nothing. No change overall amongst these four. It's just going to come down to who chucks the car in more aggressively into the corner. There is no other overtaking strategy that is working here. The other thing to consider, Scored Buffalo is about 5 seconds still out from your race leader right now, and Lud1cr0us still runs between them. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what's going on, but Scored Buffalo does not have the pace we are expecting him to. Now, the circuit is still dry. It's not properly dry. It's still wet. It's not dried out yet. So maybe near the end of the race, Buffalo will have an advantage, but that gap has opened up dangerously. We could see a repeat of what happened at Suzuka, where he can catch your leader, but he may not be able to pass him. And that could have, it would be small, but it would have an important impact on the championship fight. Horizon slides wide. Shredder is not close enough to make anything of it. Horizon still runs behind Mabey Racing. RZM Brett has not really pulled away from Mabey either. We were looking at this fight like 10 laps ago, and they're all in the same positions with almost the same gaps that they were at earlier. Now, the circuit should be drying out, but it's taking a lot longer than we were anticipating it to. Lud1cr0us continues to slowly fall off of your leader. So Lucky, although he'll be likely dealing with tire fall off near the end of the race, it's not looking like it will be anything as bad as what we saw at Suzuka, especially because this time Lucky pitted later than Buffalo did. Gap at the front's at about 5 seconds, about 5.5 seconds right now between Lucky and Buffalo. Lud1cr0us going to be a little bit of a wild card here. Comes this move, though, for 8th position. Shredder's on the inside this time. Could this be it? Could Shredder finally make a move by not just mindlessly... I mean, he did still kind of chuck it in. Oh, Horizon's off! My goodness, did Horizon go off! But Shredder's not fast enough in a straight line. Horizon maintains the position. Shredder, he needs to throw it into this corner, but he's just too respectful, too kind. He's not willing to make that stick. And I don't know if Shredder has the control over the car in the wet to make such a move stick anyway. Just running side by side, you can see him really sideways there. Shredder, without a doubt, is faster than Horizon, but speed has nothing to do with it. All it comes down to is just chucking the car into the corner, and Shredder kind of chucked it. He still gave Horizon plenty of room, but he kind of chucked it, going through 3, 4, 5 there, but just couldn't maintain it. And even though Horizon went off circuit, it didn't change anything. All the overtakes we've seen today have just been a matter of just chuck the car and deny the driver that you want to get by any chance of running the car. It doesn't matter how bad your line is. That's all it comes down to. And Shredder just does not have it. Horizon is driving a way worse car. He is having so much more issue. But it doesn't matter because Shredder's racing him too respectfully. And because of this, there's not going to be a change in this position unless Horizon makes a gigantic mistake. Rock has been our 4th driver to drop out today. Gap at the front still about 5.5 seconds between Lucky and scored. And Lud1cr0us has gone a long time in clean air. He will be on the freshest rubber of everyone else, and I think he might be trying to set it up to where he'll make his stop as the circuit starts properly drying out. It is still wet. We are coming down to about 13, 14 to go, and the circuit is still wet. Drivers with a wet weather setup, I do believe, still have an overall massive advantage here. Other thing to consider is that Sunshine still has a 2-second lead over TNR Briant, but Briant continues to close it down. Mabey scooting away from Horizon and Shredder here. It's just not happening. There's no moves that's going to happen by the looks of it here near the rear of this field. Well, now it's kind of becoming the rear, but near the middle of this field. Shredder faster than Horizon, but lap time speed just has not mattered. It's all just been a matter of just chucking the car mindlessly into the corner. So here's something else to keep an eye on. Scored Buffalo about to close in on Lud1cr0us speed now. That Chevrolet, who runs second, still has not made a stop. And there it is. So good news for Buffalo. He will not have to deal with dirty air from that Chevrolet. Did someone else just lag out? Ah, and it's Smat Pack. So now we're down to just 11 drivers. Oh, big twitch for Buffalo there. The gap's at 5 seconds at the front. Here's the other thing to keep an eye on. Lud1cr0us had fallen off from Sunshine and Briant. Is he still going to be about that same distance behind? No, the gap's even worse now. So yeah, he has fallen way off of Sunshine and Briant. Lud1cr0us can only hope. I think he's pretty much locked up 5th here, because I don't think 6th place RZM Brett has what it takes to do anything. Once again, we look at TNR Horizon, trying to keep Shredder behind. And again, as long as Shredder's racing him respectfully, Horizon doesn't have to worry about it. You need to throw the car into the corner. And in these wet conditions, I don't know if Shredder has what it takes to make that stick. Oh, Horizon really sideways, really wide, going into the corner. Shredder not there yet. He gets right behind him. .2 seconds from Horizon to Mabey. So if Mabey had an issue, he would be able to capitalize. But honestly, this is the most active battle on circuit. For now, that is. I smell mint ice cream. You can see that BMW Shredder really hustling it through Maggots and Beckett's. And I think the circuit's finally starting to dry out, but it's not dry enough to be, you know, proper full balls to the wall. This circuit is just taking so long to dry off. We're under a proper sun, but it's just not mattered. Alright, so here's a fight to keep an eye on. Third and fourth. Sunshine has been in third place for a large chunk of this race, outside of the period under green flag stops. But TNR Briant is in fourth, watching, looking to try and make something happen here. No move yet in that fight. Oh, and Shredder is side by side with Horizon. He's chucked it in there in three. But now he's trapped on the outside through the chicane and will fall back behind Horizon. And Horizon just has enough straight line speed. Unless Shredder chucks it in, he needs to chuck it in at the end of the straight. If he doesn't chuck it into the corner here, he's not going to get him. And he's not willing to. He just falls in line and runs right behind Horizon. So no movement that time. We saw Shredder get right alongside, but again, it's gotta be at the end of the longer straights, and I'm guessing that run into three is just not enough. Even though that's where Horizon is probably at his weakest, that's just not working, because yeah, sure, Shredder throws the car in, but the circuit's so flat, and it's such a short run to turn 4, that kind of negates it. And now Horizon's actually caught Mabey Racing, all things considered, so Mabey might be fading a bit here. So that Lamborghini N6 looks like it's going to stabilize. Mabey holding 7th. Horizon 8th. Shredder 9th. Oh, bumper to bumper. A little bit of contact. The Bentley accelerates, though. That Bentley has a way better straight line speed advantage than Shredder does. And that might be one of the reasons why Shredder can't really chuck it into the corner. Oh, but there we are. Through turn 1, you can see how much that BMW closed back in. Horizon sideways out of 2. This time, Shredder throws it on the outside. And Horizon holds position without issue. And again, that's straight line speed advantage of Horizon. I'm going to be honest, I think that might be the main thing. It may not be an issue of just respectability from Shredder. It might be a case that Horizon's straight line speed advantage is enough that it just means that Shredder can't actually do anything against that Bentley into the corners. He can't even attempt to throw it and chuck it in. Alright, what about this fight for third now? Sunshine holds it. Briant is in fourth. He wants it back. And the gap at the front has opened up to 6.7 seconds. Very uncharacteristic. And here's the thing. Even if the circuit dried up now, Buffalo would have to be gaining about 2/3 of a second a lap just to catch your leader by the end of this race. Not even pass him, just catch him. So unless we have a yellow flag, which we have not had a yellow flag since Watkins Glen, unless we have a yellow flag, I think Lucky is going to go back-to-back in the victory column. Sunshine holding station over Briant for now. Again, wet circuit. We know that Briant will still have an advantage. because he's got a massive amount of grip. But Sunshine has one small positive thing in his favor. That Porsche was already fast in a straight line and got an improvement in its straight line speed with the BOP shakeup that happened before Suzuka almost 2 weeks ago. So with that in mind, Sunshine may have an ability to just keep Briant behind him by just preventing Briant from doing that big chuck that you need to do. There's not been any overtakes that have stuck today that haven't been just a throw into the corner. Oh, and the Shredder has gotten by Horizon. I missed this fight while we were looking at that battle for third. I missed this. Shredder has finally gotten by Horizon. And boy, has he gotten by. Look at this. The gap's already opened up to 1.3 seconds, and Shredder is already now looking and barreling down on Mabey Racing. Well, that's not anticipated. But Shredder finally made it happen. Now, I don't know if that's because Horizon went off or if it was something else, but that has finally changed. Now what about this fight for third? Briant right there behind Sunshine as they come out of Maggots and Beckett's now. Sunshine has a straight line speed advantage through here, but Briant has a grip advantage. Of our 16 drivers, we're only down to 11 cars, but of those 11, they're all still on the lead lap. It's 9 laps to go at the moment. Briant is there. Well, I think we can say that the circuit has now gone from being wet to damp. We're not seeing those big, what they like to call here in the States at least, we're not seeing the big rooster tails behind anymore. Briant gets in his Sunshine, nearly hooks him coming out of one. But Briant backed out of it and let Sunshine get the car back. But yes, the circuit still damp, but it is not soaked anymore. And this will be good news for Sunshine in a straight line because this means that he can further the advantage of that Porsche. Man, look at that gap open up. 6 tenths, nearly 7 tenths when they get under braking. And then Briant under brake immediately cuts that gap down to half of it. And that's the thing about grip. Grip is not just a measure of how aggressively can you put the throttle down coming out of a corner. Grip will also have an impact on how aggressively and how late you can brake, because the more grip you have, the more you can stress and strain the tires on a dive under brakes into a corner. You don't really see that as much because typically in racing nowadays, it's expected to have a better run by, you know, compromising your entry into a corner by having a better exit. You know, there's a reason why there's a saying, the last of the late breakers. Typically in racing, late braking is a worse thing to do, but having wider tires will help drivers who want to go deeper into the corners, whether it's over the course of a lap or at the very end of a lap. Not course of a lap, I mean that course of entering a straight or at the very end of the straight. So the gap's at 3 tenths. 2 tenths now. And Sunshine immediately opens the gap in a straight, but it didn't open as much that time by. And Briant is right there behind the Porsche. Has a nice tighter line out of the final corner, runs right behind. This is the closest he's been for a while. He's looking to the inside, won't be able to make it stick. He got into the Porsche here last time. He'll get into the Porsche again this time, but this time they'll both keep it straight. Sunshine gives Briant the inside. This is it. Briant throws the car into the corner. Is that going to be enough? That will be enough. That's all that matters. Throw the car into the corner. If the driver ahead gives you even the slightest movement, it doesn't matter. You just got to throw the car into the corner. It doesn't matter about respect. It doesn't matter about skill. It doesn't matter about anything else. And that's all that mattered. Those wider tires, that extra grip that Chevrolet had, meant that when he got the opportunity, he could throw it into the corner and make it stick. It's over. That fight for third will be done. And Sunshine will be denied another podium this season. and Briant will come home third. But he is 19 seconds out from Scored Buffalo, who is in second. And speaking of which, that gap at the front, it's finally less than 6 seconds, but Scored is not closing by any significant amount on Lucky. We are going to see Lucky go back-to-back on wins, and Sunshine might not be done with Briant yet, but he needs to somehow deny Briant a good run into Maggots and Beckett's, because otherwise this is over. He'll gap that Porsche massively just through these S's. Gap's already opening up. It went from 2 tenths to 4 tenths. Now it's up to 5 tenths, and they're not even out of these corners yet. Sunshine really trying to pedal to the metal. He gets it back down to 3 tenths, coming out of the corner. This is the closest thing you get to a proper straight here. Sunshine has a run. He needs to throw it to the inside of Briant. He needs to just chuck the car in there. If he doesn't do that, you can't make the position stick. And he's not going to do it. Bryant's just far enough ahead. And immediately the gap starts opening up again. Half a second already now. Basically, Briant gains roughly a tenth to a tenth and a half per corner, and Sunshine can close back about half of that in a straight. But again, Silverstone, not a top speed circuit like it used to be. It's more acceleration focused. That Porsche's strength is more on top speed rather than just acceleration. So Sunshine really only starts closing the gap down at the very end of a straight. So yeah, this fight's over. One fight that's not over, though, is this one here. Shredder, right behind Mabey Racing. Although he's run wide again. And Mabey is not too far behind Brett. I'm honestly shocked that Brett has not opened the gap massively over these two BMWs. Oh my goodness, here comes Shredder. He's got a big run on Mabey. He gets right alongside of him. He did it. He did the chuck going into 3. So I think Shredder has felt really comfortable about chucking the car into turn 3, and Mabey had a really bad run through 4, and Shredder's right there. Shredder's got to push him wide. Mabey gets pushed wide, but Shredder backs out, gives Mabey the respect that he thinks he needs. So Mabey will hold the position for now. Mabey defends the inside line, doesn't want Shredder to throw the car to the inside. Shredder will just take a proper line. But now, as the event is starting to fade away to its twilight laps, things are going in Shredder's favor just a bit here. The gap at the front's now down to 4.7 seconds, so Buffalo is starting to close. But it may be a case of too little too late. Oh, Shredder ruzzing the dirt just a bit there. I think in a BMW on BMW fight, this is going to be really interesting. But as the circuit has dried out, I think Shredder is really starting to come alive. It's taking a lot longer than it probably should have. While these two are fighting, the Lamborghini there, Brett, is finally peeling away. Oh, he hit him! Under braking. That'll compromise both of them. Now through the final chicane, and Mabey is really wide. Shredder has the run. Out of the final corner once again. These first 3 corners are where Shredder has been the strongest against his rivals, and Mabey is showing weakness. Oh, but Shredder hit the dirt there, and that may have killed his momentum. Oh, but Mabey's really sideways out of 2. And into 3, not close enough for Shredder to make a move. But Horizon's now back within a second of Shredder. So now that the circuit's dried off a bit, maybe Horizon will try and make a last gasp attempt to get back up to a 9th place spot. That Lamborghini farther up is finally scooting and pulling away. It's Buffalo, 4.8 seconds out from the lead. And it will be 5 laps to go when they get to the line. both those BMWs run over the grass and then both slide and swing their cars really wide. Remember, Shredder will have a tire advantage to the end of this race. Typically, Shredder is limited by tire life. He really has a problem with burning his rubber up, but he was one of the last drivers to make a stop, so tires will not be an issue for Shredder, but it looks like Mabey has finally gotten his bearings back. The gap is starting to open back up once again. And I think if I'm in Shredder's position, I'm going to be starting to worry about Horizon now, because Horizon is closing in. Gap's at half a second, now about 6/10 between 7th and 8th. BMW on BMW action. Buffalo's now cut down to 4.5 seconds at the front. Out of the final corner. Not a great run out of the final corner that time for Shredder, but he makes up a lot of time typically in turns 1 and 2. Not enough to do anything, though. Maybe didn't have the ideal line in 3. But you can have as good or bad of a line as you want in 3 as long as you can make it to 4. That's all that matters. It's not really a proper chicane, but it's not really a proper straight. So because of that, you can be great or terrible in 3. It doesn't matter. You basically tackle turn 4 all on its own. And then that opens to turn 5 and then the straight. And maybe he's not great in 3, but he's good enough in 4 and 5 that Shredder can't do anything. Now Shredder is falling off of Mabey, and Horizon is closing back in. Now in the wet, the only way you could make an overtake was to chuck the car into the corner. I'm curious to see if it's going to be the same way as we come down to these final laps on a properly dry circuit. It took a lot longer to dry the track out than I anticipated it would. Your leader, Lucky, having to deal with a bit of traffic there. Who was that? Was that Matter? Yeah, that's Matter. Gap's down to 3.8 seconds. So Buffalo is closing, but 4 laps to go. I don't see any way that he catches him, because there's no way that Lucky catches any more traffic before this race is over. So Lucky will go back-to-back wins. Again, season opener was won by Buffalo. Race 2 was won by Lucky. Race 3 at Watkins was won by Buffalo. Race 4, which is at Road America, was won by Lucky. Race 5, which was at Laguna Seca, won by Buffalo. Race 6 was at Laguna Seca, won by Lucky. These drivers have been trading off wins every week this season. This might be the first time that one of these two go back-to-back. And while Lucky missed the first race of the season, this could be a tale that things are finally starting to turn in his favor. He'll go 2 weeks back-to-back of closing that championship gap down unless something goes wrong here in these final laps. And again, we know Lucky won't have to worry about tire fall-off. He's been in clean air pretty much this entire time, and he pitted later than Buffalo. I just want to mention ludicrous speed here real quickly. Although he has absolutely fallen off and dropped off in pace here in the dry, he opened up such a big gap in the wet that he has basically been in a zone of his own. Not near the front, sadly, but for a driver who's typically would be back there in that fight with the likes of Shredder and Mabey and Brett and Horizon, he's running very comfortably in 5th. This is probably going to be one of, if not his best run all season long. Shredder runs in 8th position, with Horizon challenging from behind. He can still see Mabey racing ahead, but can't do anything to that BMW. Can Horizon get a position back? These two were at it almost all race long, it felt like. There's no way that all these drivers are supposed to be allowed to run that wide, but apparently they are. Horizon has caught Shredder. In the wet, you had to throw the car, chuck it aggressively into a corner, and deny the driver ahead any chance of having a line. But now in the dry, can Horizon get by Shredder? Using the same tactical rule, they have to be a little bit more measured, a little bit more clever. He's got a straight line speed advantage. He barrels down on the BMW. He looks to the outside. Shredder just drifts wide just enough to deny Horizon the outside line. They run nose to tail as they come now. Bit of a run down, but Shredder is really sliding that BMW. Big big lockup from the BMW. Now here comes Horizon. Looks outside, looks inside, and here's the move. That could be it. You may not have to throw the car into the corner anymore. Shredder's got the run coming on the outside. Horizon has the inside, and Horizon has an advantage in straight line speed, but these have been the corners that Shredder has been better in. Shredder throws it into turn 1 without issue. Horizon has to back out. Turns 1, 2, and 3 has been where Shredder has been in his strongest, but Horizon is really showing strength late. I guess Horizon set that car up for dry weather racing, and it's finally paying off. It's only going to be a fight for 8th, but finally he is going back on the attack, not making nearly as many of the mistakes he did in the wet. The fight at the front is cutting down to 3.2 seconds, but with nearly 2 laps to go, that's just not going to be enough. Horizon has the run on the inside of Shredder, side by side into the corner. Trying to run each other respectably. Shredder has the inside line advantage through all of these corners. But you can see that BMW just does not have it. And now Mabey is absolutely pulled away. Horizon has the inside line. This will be it. Shredder pushing Horizon all the way through the corner. And I imagine he'll do the same thing here, Maggots and Beckett's. Oh, we got into him and he hooked him. Now, it wasn't enough to turn him all the way around, but he definitely got bumper-to-bumper side contact and turned Horizon sideways, but now they're on the straight and Horizon pulls away. That's it. That fight's over. So Shredder, only good in wet weather conditions and just not good enough to open up the gap. And will not be able to be any better than 9th. I think Mabey has just enough of a gap over Horizon that Mabey will consolidate their position in 7th. Here's something interesting. Sunshine has closed back in just a bit on Briant. So this is not something I anticipated seeing here. But Sunshine has closed back in on Briant. It's back to within half a second. But again, Briant has a massive advantage when it comes to grip. So he'll be able to take these corners without any issue against Sunshine, who needs to be careful and nurse his tires. Sunshine, again, made that big undercut. Oh, Briant's really sideways there, coming out of the very last corner. But again, grip advantage means that he'll be able to still pull away and pull out without issue. Gaps, this is the closest it's been for a few laps, but I think Briant has enough of an advantage. As long as he doesn't botch a corner, they only have a lap and 3 corners left, and as long as Briant doesn't botch a corner, I think this is his. Horizon got by Shredder with 3 laps to go, roughly. And will hold on to 8th, but Horizon, who we were anticipating would be fine for a top 5 finish, this is not where he wanted to be. You can see Shredder just so much smoother in the corners, but it doesn't matter because now Horizon is ahead. And with the speed advantage, he can outrun Shredder into nearly every corner here. This little section here, 1, 2, 3, these are the only corners that Shredder's been better than Horizon at. I don't know if it's going to be enough for him to even get alongside, let alone make an overtake here. Oh, big sideways moment from Horizon. Shredder goes to the outside. And gets him. Drag race. And Shredder got Horizon. A hiccup from Horizon on the last lap. That might be enough. But now Shredder is sideways out of 4. Horizon has the inside line. Shredder on the outside. Drag race. But the straight line speed advantage of Horizon's machine will likely let him dive into the next corner. Under braking. Horizon not so comfortable, not so nice to Shredder this time. Really kind of chucked it against the BMW, but Shredder has the car ahead. Now he's going to try the crossover. Shredder can't keep it on the inside line. Crossover move. And Shredder accelerates out of the corner, though. He has the position over Horizon. Your race winner will be Lucky with Buffalo second, but this fight is not over yet. They're sideways. Shredder runs wide. Horizon's still on circuit. Side by side, they come down to Maggots and Beckett's again. Shredder's been stronger through Maggots and Beckett's than Horizon has, but Horizon's stronger around the rest of the circuit. It looked like Shredder was going to lose it, but Horizon made a mistake, and Shredder capitalized. That might be all it comes down to. They're 4 seconds off from Mabey Racing, so that battle won't actually mean anything. Third place did go to Briant as anticipated. Here comes Horizon. To the inside, can't make it stick. 3 corners left. How aggressively will Horizon chuck it in to this final chicane here? He's right behind. Not close enough to throw it in. They say nose to tail. Shredder holds the corner, hits the grass just a bit, will compromise his line. Horizon looking to the inside. They'll be side by side for a position. Shredder runs wide. Horizon runs wide. And at the line, it will be Shredder, but by the smallest of margins. And Shredder just barely holds on to 8th, and Horizon will just barely take 9th. 10th place will go to NFL Racer. And Matter, a lap down, will come home in 11th. Trying to get our race winners into the party here and hear what they had to say about that very interesting race. All right, and coming into the party right now, several of our top drivers, but I want to start out with LuckyVII. Lucky, go ahead, include your audio. Well, actually, Lucky, go ahead, include your audio. Fantastic drive out there, mate. Took the lead on lap 1 and outside some runs under green flag stops. Basically didn't look back all day, and you'll be the first driver to go back-to-back in victory lane this season. What do you have to say about that run today, mate?
I was able to take advantage of the wet track and use the low end power the Bentley had us to get away from scored enough to keep him behind me the rest of the track. Once it started to dry up, he definitely had pace over me, so I was able just to sit on a gap that I generated and take it home.
All right, fantastic drive, but I do have to ask, did you set that car up with a wet weather race in mind, or was it a case that you set this up for a dry circumstance that just happened to be really competent in the wet as well?
Nope, same tune. I haven't touched the tune at all.
All right, interesting to hear. Well, still, back-to-back wins, Lucky. So for 2 weeks in a row, you'll close that championship gap down a little bit. Still about 5 races left in the season. Now it's been pruned from a 13 to a 12-race schedule. What are your anticipations? Do you think you have a shot at the title?
Not if scored miss doesn't miss. He's too far ahead. You need to miss, or something would need to happen where he came in like last or something. Other than that, if he keeps putting up, you know, first and seconds every week, I'm not going to catch him.
All right, well, you also have been putting up first and seconds every week, and let's not overlook that fact, mate. You're basically, your average finishing position this year is probably going to be higher than 1.5 if you keep this up. That's incredible. So, great drive out there, mate. I'm curious to see what you can pull off next week.
Thank you.
All right, I want to talk with our second place finisher now. Scored Buffalo. Scored, go ahead, include your audio. Got pole. Actually had a good run down to turn 1, but lost the lead before you even got onto the first real straight. What happened? Buffalo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
I just didn't really expect the car to feel like it did in the wet whenever we actually like started racing. So, generally the whole time I was just trying to adjust and not lose as much time to Lucky. But I mean, I couldn't keep that down. So, yeah, just me driving in the wet here was terrible. But once it started to dry up, I actually, was able to put laps in. I was actually catching Lucky quite quickly, but the race wasn't long enough, so it didn't happen.
All right, well, second week in a row, you'll end up losing ground in the championship fight. 5 races left. Mathematically, there's still a chance you can wrap up the title early. Do you think that's still possible? That you can wrap up this championship a race or two early?
Not really. If Lucky keeps showing up, then the title's still gonna be in contention regardless. Or if I mean, like, even still, like, I would possibly miss the race, or may have to leave in the middle of the race, like Road America. So who knows?
All right, well, still, interesting run. You pulled off a second there. Great job on that. Still, you finished top 4 in every race this season. That's pretty solid stats, doesn't matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
All right, I want to go ahead and turn our focus now to TNR Briant. Let me check to make sure he did get into this party here, because I did send him like 2 invites. And no, he is not here. I'm going to try and invite him once more, but if it doesn't work, I can't do anything about it. It says he's offline for the moment. Okay, well, anyway, while we wait on him, I want to go ahead and talk with our 4th place finisher, Mr. Sunshine. Sunshine, I got good news and bad news. The good news, you came home 4th against a very competitive field. The other good news is that you will probably maintain your grip on 3rd in the championship. The bad news, it looks like for all intents and purposes, this is probably going to be the ceiling for you the rest of the season. What do you have to say about your run today?
I'm pretty happy with it. I qualified 4th. Horizon's car couldn't drive in the water, so I moved up to 3rd. Hung on to 3rd all the way through the pit stops. In the transition from the rain to like the drying track, I just couldn't really figure out the braking point in the line through the corners, so Brett closed up the gap. But like the last 3 laps of the race, I caught all the way back up to him, and we finished last half a second apart. But it was a pretty good race. I'm happy with it.
All right, well, great run to say the least. Also, you had a really fun fight watching you and Lud1cr0us go at it for the first half of that race as well. What's your anticipations for yourself across the rest of the season?
I think I'll just continue to finish consistently through all the races. I mean, I'm not really in the fight for the top 3, but if I can hang on to the bottom step of the podium in the next few, I'll be happy.
All right, great run out there, mate. Good to see you have that good run. I want to talk with our 5th place finisher now, Lud1cr0us. Lud1cr0us, I think without a doubt that's probably going to be your best run, best performance all season long. What do you have to say about that incredible drive today?
I remember when I said next week that I like Silverstone and I'm really close to fixing the car?
Yeah.
I like Silverstone and I fixed the car.
Well, it worked out pretty well, mate. You looked
really
like,
did.
for all intents and purposes, you were probably the 3rd or 4th fastest car across the first half of this race. Opened up a massive gap on the rest of the field. So now, rest of the season ahead, you said you got the car fixed. Do you think you can pull off more finishes like this across the rest of the year?
Yeah, probably. I mean, as long as I don't, I still look back mainly at Suzuka. I'm like, wow, that was a choke job. So as long as I don't do that again, I think so.
All right, well, I mean, for a choke job, you still at least finished on the lead lap there after being run off the circuit twice in the first 5 laps. So it wasn't that bad there. But yeah, no issues, no anything here. Great drive, mate. 5 races left. I'm curious to see if you can maintain these results to the end.
Yeah, I mean, I might have done a little better today. I think staying out as long as I did was a bad decision. I was kind of hoping Sunshine and Briant would have gotten to a bigger fight, and when I pitted and they passed me so quick, I'm like, well, shit. But Yeah, I'll take it. Finally broke
Yep,
even in a race.
fifth is a fifth. Yep. Great job at that, mate. Now I want to go ahead, turn our focus now to RZM Brett. Brett, go ahead and include your audio. Interesting drive from you today. At some points, you look like one of the best cars out there. At other points, you seem to be nowhere. And by the end of the race, you basically were by yourself. What do you have to say about your run today?
Yeah, it's, like you said, interesting. I had a really solid pace at the start. I got a decent gap with Mabey, Shredder, and Horizon battling behind me. And my pace kind of slowly declined. It felt like there was a stretch in the middle of the race where the track felt like it almost got worse, even though the rain was dropping off. So I wasn't really happy with the performance there, but I held the spot and just ran clean all race. So I'm pretty happy with it, considering the strength of the field. So.
All right. Well, sixth tier. You also had a interesting run Suzuka as well. What are you expecting from yourself across the remaining 5 races of the season?
Honestly, if I can get more of this, I'll be pretty happy. With the BOP adjustments to Lambo, I'm much more competitive and more towards where I should be or where I expect myself to be. So if I can keep repeating this, I'd be pretty happy with it. It's such a tough car to get pace out of. So I've been pretty happy with this past couple of results. If I can keep this up, I'll be happy.
All right. Great job out there, mate. A 6th, pretty respectable run. Top half of the field, if you know, a 5th of it didn't drop out. But yeah, great job out there, mate. I want to go ahead and talk with Mabey Racing. And again, Mabey, I will say I apologize again for completely misgendering you and everything across the entire course of the season. Interesting day today because you were fighting forward, you were defending from the back. I saw you go from like 10th up to 6th, and you fell to 7th. 7th at the end. What do you have to say about your run out there, mate?
It was good about where I could have gotten today. Not really having luck in the rain with the BMW wasn't the greatest. And then I think if I had a little more horsepower just in battles, I wouldn't have gotten stuck in the battles for so long as well. Maybe could have caught some more, but BMW has the pace. Giving it more power is just going to make it overpowered, so it's tough though to battle with it. It gets stuck. But either way, decent race. Maybe the challenge up further on the grid next time.
All right, great drive out there, mate. 2nd highest of all the BMW finishers. And now I want to talk real quickly with our 3rd highest of all the BMW finishers, SRD Shredder. Shredder, watching from the camera, at the line, you took home 8th position, but the gap had to be down to at least the hundredths, if not the thousandths of a second. What do you have to say about your round there, mate?
I mean, qualifying is half and half, that was. Start of the race, I tuned my car mainly to have more rear grip so it would survive in the wet. And I was doing pretty alright, I think. I was just getting caught behind a lot of people in front of me that were slightly slower than me in some areas. And I was about half a second over a lap quicker, but they can just piss off in the straights, which annoyed me. So then came to the pits, and by that point, the track had dried out a ton, and then from that point I was just having a massive skill issue because I could not adjust to the new braking lines because Forza being an amazing quality product, the braking points don't change when the weather does, so you'll still have the wet weather braking line when it's completely bone dry. I couldn't adapt to that at all, so I just lost about nearly half a second to a full second of pace to the people around me. So that's why I was going off everywhere, because I could not adapt at all. And that's why I started having instances with Horizon when he got alongside me, because I just did not know when to brake and when to turn. And then I was also a bit angry being behind for most of the race, so I did try and shove it in a few places as well. And then the car gave up completely going into the final corner and went wide, and looked like his did as well. And I got about, I don't know, an inch or two ahead of the line, so yeah. I got a picture of mine that I'll send in chat later.
All right, fantastic finish, but not a great drive. Seems like after that amazing performance that you had back, 3 races, Watkins, Road America, Laguna, seems like everything's kind of falling apart. Do you think you can get the wheels back on the car as the season comes to its close?
Yeah, it's 50-50. Not actually, what most we got left? Yeah, Catalunya, I'm going to do shite. No, I'm going half-half. Hockenheim, decent. Monza's going to be iffy, and Spa's quite good as well. So it's going to be, we can probably get top 5 in the championship, maybe, probably.
Yeah, well, it does help that one of your closer rivals, Prius Killer, was not able to finish today's race.
Yeah,
so that will
annoying
help,
because
obviously.
it keeps kicking himself now.
Yeah. Either way, mate, might not have been a great finish, but it was a fun battle watching you two go at it to the end, mate. Thanks for putting on the good show today.
No problem.
All right, one more driver. Well, I think 2 more drivers. I think Horizon did get into this party here. No, he did not, apparently. So I guess we have to skip that. Go to NFL Racer. Real quickly, NFL, go ahead and include your audio. Been absent a few weeks, but you're finally back. Came home with a 10th place finish, but kind of by yourself all day. What was that like today?
It's been it was a rough day, to be honest. Car was okay in the rain, but just couldn't find the pace or the right line through the rain. Got bumped out of line very quickly by Shredder at the very beginning of the race and couldn't really find my mojo after I got behind him. And then once the rain stopped and it started drying out, the car was okay, but just couldn't get out of my own head. Braking line issue that Shredder mentioned was in his interview was kind of messing with my head. So just kept making little mistakes, kept losing time, and 10th is apparently the loneliest number on track. So, but our Warner Enterprises BMW was good and just needed to cut down on my mistakes.
All right, well, 5 races left across the season. Will you be able to show up for the remainder of the season? Because if you do, you're probably going to be able to come home with the top 10 in the championship.
I'd like to think I can. Got some IRL things going on right now that may or may not throw up my schedule, but I'd like to think that as long as everything goes according to plan, I should be able to make every race for the rest of this season. So I'm really hoping that's the case, and I just know that these are not great tracks for me going forward, so probably will see me signing up for a challenge somewhere in the future to try and make up some points that I'm going to lose at some of these weaker tracks.
All right, well, that will be fun to watch because, the challenges are supposed to be there for a reason, but no one ever seems to take any of them. So, yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on that. That would actually make things a little bit interesting to watch. But anyways, thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Real quickly, we were not able to get any interviews with TNR Briant, but my personal opinion, if I had to give a driver of the day to someone, it would probably be Briant, basically starting from second to last, coming all the way up to third. Pretty solid run on his part today. But with that in mind, I've been your host for today's broadcast of St. Lear 13. Next week, the series will begin underway at Catalunya, the premier Formula 1 FIA Grade 1 circuit in Spain. I look forward to seeing you all then. Till then, farewell and goodbye, everybody.